Well, hello there. I'm going to turn the brightness up because it's just occurred to me that this might make these videos look better if I turn the brightness right up. I'm still at Signet Hayward Ward and I've had a very nice 7th of April. I suppose I have in some ways I haven't really done much today. I've got some dextrose sweets to eat and got some artwork here. It says 2 wrongs don't make a right, neither do 3 lefts. You can buy that for £50 if anyone wants to buy that. I can sign a copy of that for anybody that wants one of those. I'm going to talk through, some of the banal and kind of anal, boring searches I've made on AI because I've really got nothing else better to do in this hospital. Some of the service users are great people, and they're not great people. Do you know what I mean? But they're quite safe. They're quite good to talk to. Not that I'm a great person either, really. I've got a spot on my face, right on my lip, which I've shaved over. It's really probably going to, I don't know, not really very good. It was Mother's Day the other day, and what I wanted to do on Mother's Day was sort of talk a little bit about what happened after my mum Alethea Inez McLeod sadly passed away. I made a video with my passport, and I could put a video of her passport. I can show her documents. I've got I'll tell you a funny story. I tried to send her naturalisation certificate, right? My mum was from Spain. She was born in Estepona in Seville on the 21st of July 1956 as Alethea Inez Avendaño. And she came to this country when she was very young. She actually had rickets when she first came to this country. She was malnourished so badly that one of her legs was malformed. And she was very neglected and had a very difficult childhood. And so I totally empathise. I'm a quarter Spanish, and I totally empathise with immigrants and people who want to come to this country and seek a better life, and don't discriminate against. My father is from Africa. He was naturalised from Kenya. He was born in Mombasa. Diorsa William John McLeod, and my mother Alethea Inez McLeod, who they were married at All Saints Church in Maidenhead, and they stayed married for about 10 years. In a nutshell, it was a bit sour what happened when my mum passed away. Going through bereavement's really difficult. But what happened to us was that they said to Connor, my brother and I, Connor Ryan Jesse McLeod, my half brother on my mum's side, that our mum Alethea was too ill to make a last will and testament. They said she'd lost mental capacity. And they said that before she was married in the hospital with the Registrar's General Licence they got at the drop of a hat, somehow they managed to get Registrar's General Licence to marry her. She got married in May the 16th, I think, and she passed away on about 6 to 8 weeks later, I think July the 14th. And her birthday would have been on July the 21st in 2014. So anyway, right, so after they said she'd lost mental capacity, they also said that I was too mental to act as next of kin, and as her eldest son, and she was unmarried, I would have been involved in medical decisions and kind of the upkeep of the estate. I haven't got anything against her boyfriend whatsoever. We've had a tumultuous relationship because it's a bit of a kind of, you're not my dad, don't tell me what to do when I'm 14 years old and haven't done the washing up kind of relationship. And I don't know that he's had it easy either. There's a lot of complexities and sort of contraindications and, what sometimes appears to be a lack of autonomy. I did try to once, there was a very poignant memory I recall, whereby I was sat in my brother's bedroom in 2012 after I'd first been sectioned, and I tried to say that I sort of didn't hate this guy, who I won't name, and a sort of a love for him. In a way, I sort of did, and I came downstairs and he was putting on this all right there, mate, false cheesy grin, almost as if to mock the fact that he, in the cardboard housing association house, he could hear, what was being said, and we kind of bonded redecorating the house when she being my mother was passing away. Her boyfriend, who then became her husband, and I, and we shared bottles of wine and listened to Ludovico Einaudi, very frequently on the stereo, which she hadn't heard before, and we painted the walls green and we put red carpet we'd had in the loft for years. My mum had never got around to laying that. She bought off some jippos that came to the door with, do you want to buy some cheap carpet? Hey. And she was like, I'll nobble that, and that's a bargain. And kept it in the loft for like about 12 and a half years. So anyway, we put this new carpet down, we painted the walls green and put up new lighting and kind of made the place sterile and immaculate so she could come home after, you know, her period of stay in a respite home or hospital. They were going to bring her home from hospital. She went to a respite home and she sadly passed away. She went to Rowcroft Hospice in Torquay, which was lovely, if not a little bit dodgy with retrospect to me trying to get the data from them afterwards. They were a bit sort of circumspect with their data management principles and adherence to policy and procedure, but she was then sent to her nursing home called Brambledown, which is in Denbury in Devon, where she sadly passed away. Anyway, 6 minutes of me talking about that. Me and my brother are something called residuary beneficiaries. And here's what that means, right? I'll show you the AI. I did a bit of AI on it today, and it would just be rude, wouldn't it, if I didn't sort of like read some stuff from AI. So in it, this is just for anybody who's never heard of what intestacy is. So intestacy is when you die without a lasting will and testament. So my mum died, they said she'd lost mental capacity, so she was too ill to make a will. She'd misplaced her will, there was no will in place, and so she couldn't make another one. But conversely, she was somehow deemed to be well enough to get married and sign her entire estate over to her then boyfriend, who in fairness to him stayed steadfastly by her side in the hospital for, you know, a good few months, sleeping on the floor, sleeping on an airbed, you know, eating and drinking and sleeping, affection and care, to make sure that she had a companion by her side through her darkest days and her final hours and months and weeks, which I would have done if I could, but I wasn't allowed to because they said I was too mental, even though I'd gone back to work for an organic cafe in Totnes called Thrive, and as a business development executive for LWC Drinks on King Charles Business Park in London. Heathfield, fucking London. I've said this the other day. No, not London, Heathfield. Anyway, right, so when an estate passes to a spouse following a death, the laws of intestacy, what is the legal, I asked, this is the question I asked obviously, what's the legal mechanistic description and functionality of the residuary beneficiaries? How much of the estate how much of the estate are they entitled to, and what are the legal mechanistic frameworks surrounding it? If you voice search, it kind of gets it wrong, but I'm just wanted to get it in writing, how, for those who don't understand what residuary beneficiary means and how that works, and how you might be able to help us out and, you know, maybe make yourself a drink out of it as well. So when an estate passes to a spouse following a death under laws of intestacy in England and Wales, the legal mechanism and the role of the residuary beneficiaries depend on whether the deceased also leaves surviving children. My mum had 2 children, Connor MacLeod and Brodie MacLeod. That's my brother and I, both her sons. The Administration of Estates Act 1925, as amended, governs these rules. Here's a breakdown of the legal mechanism and functionality, legal mechanistic description and functionality of the estate passing to the spouse. Initial entitlement. So under the intestacy rules, the surviving spouse, which was my mum's boyfriend of 10 years, who then became her husband for about 6 weeks until she passed away, has the first priority to inherit. So if there's no surviving children, then the rules are different, but I'll skip number 2 because there was 2 surviving children. Surviving children, if the deceased leaves a surviving spouse and children or remoter issue, the spouse is entitled to all the personal chattels of the deceased, so all the personal possessions, but not money or property mainly used for business. So they're entitled to all this stuff, but not the money in the bank accounts. And that includes inheritance, money held in trusts or in insurance policies, and obviously in bank accounts. Statutory legacy, a fixed sum of money which is currently 322 grand as of February the 6th, 2020. This is received, she died in 2014, so it might have been different back then, but this is a receipt free of tax and costs with interest from the date of death. Half the remaining estate, the residuary estate, after deducting personal chattels and the statutory legacy, that's what the spouse gets, this half is given to the spouse Absolutely. So residuary beneficiaries, entitlement and legal mechanistic framework. The definition of a residuary beneficiary are those who are entitled to receive the remainder, the residue of the deceased estate after all debts, funeral expenses, administration costs and specific legacies have been paid out. Functionality where there are surviving children. When a spouse inherits under intestacy and their surviving children, the children become the residuary beneficiaries for the other half of the residuary estate after the spouse has received the chattels of statutory legacy and their half of the remainder. How much of the estate are they entitled to? Surviving children, all their issue if a child is predeceased, the deceased, it's a very unfortunate situation, are entitled to the other half of the residuary estate to be divided equally between them. So it should be split 50-50, and the legal mechanistic framework surrounding this residuary beneficiaries, children in this case, statutory trusts if they're under 18, and contingent interest until a child reaches 18 if it's held in a trust, and right to information. Now this is the main bit that we're talking about. As residuary beneficiaries with a vested interest, children have a right to be informed about the administration of the estate and to receive estate accounts. Receive a statement of account. That was something that I requested from the solicitor and from the boyfriend. I said, could you please tell me all the bank accounts my mum had, all the insurance policies she had. She was a joint trustee of something called the Charles Edward Hook Settlement Fund, and that was held with HSBC. She also had a bank account with HSBC, bank account with NatWest, bank account with Halifax. None of these were mentioned on the letters that we've got. Potential for variation, and when a spouse inherits under intestacy when there are surviving children, the spouse receives a defined portion of the estate outright. The children act as residuary beneficiaries for the remaining portion, which is held on statutory trusts. For them, the legal framework ensures both the spouse and the children receive a defined share according to a set order of priority. So what we got, right, was this. I've redacted some of this stuff, but this was a solicitor who claimed, still in edit mode, who claimed that, as you can see here, there was these debts. This was the statement of account that we received, right? She had 200 quid to her landlord, 1,000 quid for the water bill, 1,500, 1,100 quid, 1,200 quid on the credit cards, and this to 8 and 9 grand nearly to Lloyd's Bank. Now, I've got a credit report which I can't share online, right? And I've got lots of other documents. I went fishing through this archive in the loft of various different documents and managed to find some hire purchase agreements with Lloyd's. Actually, this loan with Lloyd's had PPI on it, so I ended up doing a PPI claim with this loan, and the balance of it I won't reveal, but because that's not necessarily up to me to reveal confidential information, but it was like just over £1,000 basically. I won't reveal the exact figure because that is someone else's personal information. I'm not the personal representative. I was given authority. The boyfriend gave me letters and said, yeah, you can go to Santander, you can go to NatWest, you can go to Halifax, you can go to HSBC, you can go to Lloyd's, and you can go to EDF, and you can go to all these people and you can get you can do your PPI claims. They miscalculated the PPI claim and massively underpaid it, and eventually we got like a few grand back from it. But this Lloyd's letter that we got from the solicitor, this was the statement of drawing red lines all over again. And it was almost a little bit sardonic. So with regard to this last one, I've written to Lloyd's for urgent confirmation of the details of this account. I've not received any response. My letter was the 27th of July and have chased them again for this. I've also written to Southwest Water again for confirmation of the actual balance due at the date of death, as all they have sent so far is an updated statement, so this figure may not be accurate. So they're kind of trying to cover their arse, because they know that actually this Lloyd's £9,000 debt is absolute horse shit. They basically tried to burgle our house. I mean, this is a bit of I'm not suggesting that Rachel Howlett solicitor is a burglar, or that her boyfriend is, but she has claimed to have received this letter in good faith through the post from somebody. And I took it to Lloyd's, and Lloyd's are basically totally non-conformist about it. Like, they wouldn't confirm or deny. I tried to take it to Devon and Cornwall Police, say, look, someone's trying to burgle our house. I said, I've not yet heard from 3 Mobile. On the bright side, Halifax have closed their account with a balance of 45p, which is, kind of a little bit of a sort of sardonic and insensitive language. I mean, would you use sarcasm if you were dealing with for the family of a recently bereaved sort of family of a deceased woman who sadly died of cancer and had like an insolvent estate according to them. On the bright side, Halifax have closed their account. So sadly, she goes on to say, because it is sad, isn't it? You don't really need to say that it's sad when someone's fucking died. It's just, so, sadly, it's not looking very promising. This means I now need to turn to collecting any assets which were in Alethia's possession at the date of her death. I understand she had a car which Brodie's taken possession of. That was a Vauxhall Astra, which I crashed. And various possessions which could be sold off to pay the debts. If this is going to be necessary, it may be the case that the debts will be written off. However, we do need to a firm confirmation of the value of any possessions so that can be taken into consideration. I do know someone who can give a basic value for possessions or a house clearance value, and Pete could provide a value for the car. That's a friend of theirs, mutual friend. There would be a fee. They were going to charge us £100 for the valuation of all the stuff in our house, and maybe a further valuation for the price of the car. That was from a solicitor, and this was a letter which was sent to me regarding Alicia's estate. I enclose a copy of a letter which I've sent to Mike for your information. So this is addressed to Brodie McLeod and Connor McLeod. There's lots of people called Mike in the UK. I won't reveal his name or his details in this video because that's not appropriate. As you can see, it's highly likely that the estate is insolvent, possibly in the region of £10,000. Because of this, I need to factor in whatever chattels, personal possessions Alethea had at the date of her death. I understand when Alethea died, she owned a car and a number of chattels, and this was a letter which was sent to me and my brother. She spelt the name accidentally on purpose wrong there, Connor McLeod. And here's the letter from Lloyd's, right? From H. Singh. Now, I took this letter into Lloyd's loads of times and said, can you tell me, please, I've got a PPI claim on this loan. So this loan, she'd refinanced it and she'd had PPI on it for the first time, and I think PPI on the second time when it was refinanced from like 180 quid a month payments down to like slightly longer term 150 quid a month payments. And this letter basically didn't exist. So this letter of the 8th of July 2014 claimed that there was a balance of £8,982, but I had my mum's laptop, this Acer laptop, and it had all her passwords in it, and I got her Experian credit report, and I've actually shared it on Dropbox, like her credit report, which said the balance as of whatever date that was like 1,400 quid. It wasn't completely cleared, the balance, but it wasn't £9,000 at all. So it's like after you just lost Connor was 20 years old when he lost his mum. And then these people sent this letter from H. Singh, and Lloyd's wouldn't sort of confirm or deny whether this letter was legitimate or not. I said to them, is this a forgery or is Lloyd's trying to rip me off? Because the solicitor said that she's received this letter in good faith, and she doesn't know where it's come from. I'm not going to accuse the solicitor or anything. I'm not going to accuse her boyfriend of anything. But I've got credit reports in my hand here that quite clearly state that she didn't owe that money. And, they're trying to charge us 100 quid for the privilege of having everything removed from our home. So I don't know if anybody knows, anything about the laws of intestacy, or how I can get a statement of account. It mentions her HSBC account on a credit report, and she's also banked with NatWest all her life. So I tried to send, I've got a green folder which I used to carry in a rucksack on my back every day for about 8 years, from 2015. Until 2023, I used to carry a rucksack every single day with my mum's birth, marriage, death, naturalisation certificates, and my father's death certificate, and their national insurance numbers, and all the corroborating evidence that anybody would need to identify that something might have been awry. I don't know that it has, but it doesn't take much kind of skillful or agile legal vernacular or acumen to be able to assess that that letter, certainly from H. Singh, is neither authentic nor accurate nor genuine. And I don't think Lloyd's would go out of their way to try and fleece the children of a deceased woman. I wrote to the Office of the Public Guardian regarding the mental capacity assessment. They wrote back to me and said that she was never assessed under the Mental Capacity Act. So she could have made a last will and testament, which was really kind of tragic and hard to. I got that in like 2016, 2017. They put it in writing to me. It made no sort of very binary. No, your mother was never assessed under the Mental Capacity Act at all. She could have made a will. And if she had been assessed under the Mental Capacity Act, she couldn't have got married. She got married on Turner Ward. If anyone's been to Torbay Hospital, that's their cancer ward. There's a room right in the corner, not on the main ward with the kind of beds, where there's 4 beds with curtains that are subdivided, but in this one little room, just in the corner of Turner Ward. I hope nobody else has lost family in, those circumstances or in that building. If you have had the misfortune to have suffered a loss and grieved and gone through that process of saying goodbye in the hardest way and in the most heart-rendering way to people that you love, who are suffering with cancer, then you might know that little room in the corner. And my mum was a third-year nursing student. She was working on Turner Ward as a third-year nursing student, doing her nursing degree, when she was suddenly struck down with adenocarcinoma, which had metastasised to her heart and brain and caused her a lot of distress and misery, and she very quickly passed away. So what I'm asking for is if anybody can try and help us get a statement of account from either the boyfriend who became her husband, or if anybody can help us get a statement of account from whoever the legal representation or personal representative is. No one actually put it into writing who the personal representative was. I was given the rights to be personal representative by letters of authority, which I took in to do these PPI claims and to close down accounts. There's like this Tell Us Once service you can use when somebody passes away, so you don't have to kind of go through the rigmarole of attending like 15 different appointments with the butcher, the baker and the candlestick maker to constantly reiterate the fact that you're bereaved. You can do a service where they kind of streamline and tell everybody. They never did that. So her accounts actually remained open, her current account, for a long time after she passed away. And I had to tie up a lot of loose ends, as well as doing these 2 PPI claims, one with Lloyds and one with Santander, or I think it went through NatWest as well at one point. I tried to send, right, and this is on like a hard drive. I had a YouTube channel and I've uploaded loads of phone calls and documents and compensation checks. I bought my brother a sports car, a Hyundai Coupe, because I got just palmed off with thousands of pounds. I sent 10 times, right, to Santander. I faxed it from in branch once, and this was the naturalisation certificate, which is like a birth certificate for somebody that's not born in the UK. It's the equivalent of when they become a British citizen, just like when your certificate of birth is when you become a British citizen. And her marriage certificate and the death certificate. Now, banks have like a special process whereby if someone tries to say, yo, my man's dead and I'm going to be the personal representative, they have to make sure that all of the details that you provide, the corroborating evidence, is run through like a person specification system with the banks, and they've got sort of due diligence and kind of due process that they follow to be able to identify that these things have taken place. So there was loads of loose ends that were left, and we never got a statement of account. And I don't think my mum was very wealthy. I don't know if she had insurance. I don't know what the value of the Charles Edward Hook Settlement Trust was. I got invited for an appointment with HSBC, and they actually, I tried to notify the death, and then I also said that she had a finance agreement with HFC Finance, and as soon as I said that, they literally called the police in Plymouth and ejected me from their Plymouth branch. I've got recordings of this on a hard drive. It was on my old YouTube channel, Brodie McLeod 888, but that sadly got stolen when I was sectioned for the first time by Signet Healthcare at the end of 2018. After having about three or 4 years of investigative work on my old Google Drive, and I suffered massive fraud and lots of evidence and investigative journalism. What the fuck am I talking about? Investigative work was lost. But I need a solicitor, right? I need somebody who's got legal knowledge or legal representation. and rather than got a greasy face or a kind of balding face like me, or a lazy eye that you might have noticed makes me look quite unattractive at times. I don't want to put the guy with the boyfriend into trouble or jeopardy. And I don't know the ins and outs of what happened. He didn't seem particularly happy bunny when, obviously he's losing his wife, but kind of seemed a little bit like he might have been under duress at some of the occasions that I visited my mum. And like, without prejudice or accusation, or disclosing personal details, or kind of asserting or implying or inferring that something untoward might have gone on, there's one binary fact, right? And that's that the banks lost. I tried to send naturalisation certificate, death certificate, and marriage certificate to Santander. They faxed it twice from in branch, and their Newton Abbot branch, and they lost it. Then I sent it by recorded delivery courier, and they lost it. Then I sent it a fourth time, and then I also sent it to HSBC, and they lost it. Lloyd's lost it twice. Halifax lost it, and NatWest lost it, and they all paid me out like 300, 500, 600 quid each time they lost these documents that were sent by recorded delivery courier. All I had to do was give them the receipts and say, look, it was sent by recorded delivery, it was signed for at your office, and they were just saying, oh, sorry, we've lost your documents. Like I said, I bought my brother a sports car, and I spent the other money on like CCTV and kind of things to furnish my home. Like, I didn't get much. I got like 2 or 3 grand, but the fact that it was lost 10 times in succession is like far beyond the realms of Occam's razor or any kind of, sort of passable, permissible theory of human error or statistically negligible frequency, or I've over verbosed myself there. It's just not really possible that could have happened by accident. And it kind of was like loads of small town banks in like Plymouth and Exeter and Totnes and Newton Abbot, people in these little banks, and the police from Devon and Cornwall Police. I invited them round to show them the documents and the credit reports. They came round to my house. I've got a recording. I've got an audio recording of it. I audio recorded the whole thing. I was like, look, somebody has just tried to clear out our house by sending our solicitor a letter saying that my mum owes 10 grand. And I don't think it was Lloyd's. I don't think it was a solicitor. I don't think it was a boyfriend. I think it was somebody, but I don't know who it was. And Lloyd's are kind of being really finicky and sort of like, serpentine and kind of fucking slithery about things, where they sort of wouldn't, we can't kind of confirm or deny whether this is accurate at the moment because, although you did have permission to act as personal representative when you were doing the PPI claim, now you're trying to make a criminal accusation. You could go to Action Fraud and get them to verify it, but we're just not going to. Lloyd's just didn't come down on our side. Like they didn't, what they should have said is, your personal representative, you've got an authorised letter from the spouse, and although the accounts are still open, we're gonna obviously say to you, no, here's the balance, like you've got on the fucking credit report in your hand, and that letter's not accurate. So somebody is trying to just, as well as having just lost your mum, they're trying to clear your house out. I don't expect like a massive sympathy vote for this. This isn't some pathetic violin playing concerto of maximised sort of virtue signalling, pros for empathy. This is just an opportunity for anybody who has got legal knowledge. Like I've tried to get mental health act solicitors to help me out with loads of stuff. I've emailed loads of them. I've emailed journalists, I've emailed solicitors, I've tweeted at them, and none of them are interested in touching my case with Signet with a barge pole. But this, I've still got these letters. I've still got these letters, these forged letters, right? I used to carry those in my rucksack as well, the hard original wet copies, along with the credit reports that go with them to show that they were wrong, and the compensation letters from all the banks where I'd sent it 10. So it was like 4 times to Santander, once to HSBC. They lost it once, and then they found it the second time. and then so then also NatWest, Lloyd's twice, and Halifax, and I think Nationwide, was it? I can't remember fully. I've got it. My brother's just got my hard drive. I've got a terabyte hard drive with all my old YouTube videos and all these documents and stuff on, but I don't have it at the moment. I've got some USB pens in the lockup, but I don't have much intel on those, unfortunately. But basically, never trust anybody that says basically. That people who say honestly as a prefix to a statement are almost 80% of the time talking horse shit to you. People don't need to say, to be honest with you, I'm being honest, yeah, because I'm just to be honest with you, yeah, like I'm telling the truth. So, and if you do sales, never say basically. Basically, mate, what happened with that weed money was like, basically, what happened was, I'll tell you what happened was, basically, don't say basically. Basically, I'm looking for a solicitor to try and help with my mother's estate. It was years ago, but my brother Connor and I are residuary beneficiaries, and all we ever got in kind of way of a statement of account to the value of our deceased mother's estate, to which Connor Ryan Jesse McLeod, born on the 16th of June 1994 at Torbay Hospital, and me, Brodie Nathaniel Diorsa McLeod, born on the 28th of June at Wexham Park Hospital in Slough, are both residuary beneficiaries to our mother, Alethea Inez McLeod, who died with a different name, which I won't reveal because you've already got the first name of her boyfriend, and I don't want to give his personal details out in this video because I don't think that that's warranted. But please, if you know anything about intestacy or the nature of yellow boxes over your face while you're screen recording shit videos from a bent psychiatric ward, I would love anybody who would be interested in making a proportionate claim of any compensation due to us to just help Connor and I to request a statement of account from whoever is the personal representative. I don't know that the personal representative has not been assigned to, it could be anybody actually. It could be you. Don't think there's anything to do with lottery winnings there, but I mean, you might be watching this and it could be you who's the personal representative, and it might just be a very sort of small fuse attached to a massive set of fireworks that might spiderweb into something that would allow me to disseminate wealth to all sorts of places, which would be no bad thing. I'm not trying to line my pockets, but my brother has got a huge amount of personal debt and lost his mum at 20 years old, and whoever H. Singh is, who on the bright side didn't give a balance of 48p from Halifax Bank. On the bright side, I'm going to end this video pretty soon. So on the bright side, thanks for sticking with me for 33 minutes and 30 seconds. And I'm going to eat some of my dextrose sweets, vitamin C, highly recommended. And I'm going to wish you a good evening. But if you know any solicitors, I don't think my mum was a millionaire or a multi-billionaire, or somehow sequestered my lottery winnings or anything like that. But if you think she did, or anybody that wants to help us out, then you know how to reach me. Phone me on Hayward Ward's ward phone if you want a laugh, and you get to speak to some psychiatric staff before you speak to me, or phone my mobile number. It's on my Twitter page. It's 07576 713026. Phone my mobile number, text my mobile number. If you want to help recover the estate of my deceased mum, and help to get a statement of account, which we're entitled to as residuary beneficiaries, then I would welcome any assistance, because although I don't have my hard drive and I don't have my notebook with all of the claim numbers in, I have got all of the certificates still, and I have got the letter from a solicitor who I believe was acting in good faith, although she was a bit, creative and maybe a bit insensitive with her language. I think she was trying to remain light-hearted. I don't think that that letter just manifested itself out of the ether and contradicted the credit reports with Experian and Equifax and all the other credit reference agencies that said that the loan had been refinanced and had missold PPR on it, which I got like a few grand for, claiming against. I don't think that the banks, it was 10 times, like I can't remember off by heart, you're not going to believe Santander lost it twice from faxing it into their PPI department in branch, but they did, and then they lost it again when I sent it for recorded delivery. They were paying out more and more each time, but it was 10 times that it got lost, and all this is corroborated with documents, PDFs, and recording of telephone calls and videos taken from in branch in high definition on my mobile phones and audio recordings taken from in branch. So she might have been skint, but I don't think she was, and I don't think that anybody who is bereaved deserves to have the house emptied and to be charged for the privilege. But anyway, look, that's 36 minutes. I've had my tea and I've got a vape, so I'm really happy tonight. I'm not really happy. I've had a great chat with my brother on the phone today for 2 hours. Connor, I love you with the intensity of a trillion burning suns, and I can't wait to see you, mate. And to everyone else who has ever loved me or I've ever loved, even if you hate me now, I wish you all the best, and with the unwavering spirit of goodwill, reciprocity, and reconciliation, I wish you all a good evening, and would implore you to please do whatever you're able to try and help Connor MacLeod and Brodie MacLeod receive a statement of account for the estate of a lady who was born Alethea Inez Avendano, a beautiful, divine, resplendent and incredibly wise and affectionate, caring woman who I miss dearly every day. May her soul ever, forever rest in peace.